Awesome. Great. So again, thank you all so much for joining in this evening. I hope that everybody has everything they need. I did run out and realize, oh, there's an extra bag of dirt at home. Everybody seems to have a full bag of their supplies. So before we begin, I wanted to welcome everyone. And I'm really looking forward to planting together. I was telling Cora, it's been a stressful time for sure, but looking at plants online and looking forward to planting has really been calming for me this week. So I hope that you have the same sort of excitement. I'm looking at my notes here. I could pull it on screen, so I apologize if I'm not making eye contact. But I wanted to say a few words about Tu B'Shvat, since that's why we're here and we're going to be celebrating together. And maybe we'll just take a minute, and as hokey as it is, if everybody can just, since we're not going to introduce ourselves, if you can write your name and maybe beside it, put either your favorite tree or your favorite flower, your favorite plant. You can be specific with your tree. I really like that tree in the backyard, or just the type of tree, whatever you'd like. So just take a minute and send it off to everyone. I am good to start. And I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Adele, and I'm going to say sunflower. Ah, nice, Diane. Anyone else brave enough to introduce themselves? Lots of tulips. Yellow roses and tulips, magnolias, oh, are so beautiful. I like hyacinths too, especially the smell. Arbutus, is that how you pronounce it? It's that tree in Vancouver, right? Yeah, love it. Flowers no matter what. Nice, Carla. Love it. Keep on sending them in. So every year when Tu B'Shvat comes around, I always think, here we are in Canada, and it just seems like such a mystery that we're celebrating trees. Maybe in Israel, there might be the beginning of blossoms, but this week, especially in Toronto, it was so cold and it was stark, and you could hear the wind, and anybody who had dogs and was forced to be walking them, it was bracing. And I always think, why are we celebrating Tu B'Shvat in January? It should be a different month. And here we are. It's not only is it January, but we're in the middle of who knows what number wave. We're counting for the pandemic. And then I was thinking about it, and I thought, you know what, maybe Tu B'Shvat in the middle of all of this is just what we need. Because when we celebrate trees, we're reminded that there are seasons. And just as surely as the leaves fall in the autumn, there will be buds in the spring. So perhaps Tu B'Shvat is a reminder to remain hopeful. When my kids were little and we would do Tu B'Shvat projects for school, we often looked at what trees provide us. And I don't know what the Mintz kids are doing at school these days, but we used to have to draw pictures of a tree, and then the kids would have to list the reasons why trees were important. Things that they're grateful for trees, like oxygen and shelter and shade and wood and fruits and nuts. And we would do all these projects. And those are all excellent reasons to be grateful for trees and plants. And we also think about Tu B'Shvat now as a good time for ecological awareness and to remind us of the importance of protecting our environment. All good reasons to celebrate Tu B'Shvat. So this week, when I was talking to my kids and telling them what we were doing, I was talking to Emma, our daughter, who's an environmental biologist, and she made a comment that it would be nice to celebrate trees and plants just for being themselves. And I thought, what does this mean? And she said, I asked her to explain, and she talked about how in a forest, it can appear that each tree is acting on its own, every tree for themselves. But in reality, it's part of an ecosystem, and the trees and plants work together as a community. So for example, trees let moss grow on their branches so that the moss can get sunlight without getting anything from the moss in return. Trees themselves receive help getting nutrients from the soil from an unlikely source, the fungi that are connected to their roots. So she said to me, trees and plants all survive because they act as a community. So something to recognize in trees. And today we're going to be planting succulents. And succulents have some unique traits that help them through tough times. Succulents have adapted for tough, dry environments by evolving ways to work on creating energy for themselves while not letting go of the water that they're holding on to. So to put it another way, they hold on to the good stuff that they need to save it for when they need it later. So it shows that they're resilient and resourceful. So today, as we're planting and celebrating Tu B'Shvat to make a centerpiece for our tables that we can use again and again, let's take a moment to think about the lessons we can learn from trees and plants. They remind us of hope, in that spring always comes. They remind us that we thrive when we're part of a community, even if it's virtual. And they remind us that we too have adapted and developed ways to be both resourceful and resilient, especially when we support each other as a community. So on that note, Chag Tu B'Shvat Sameach, and let's get planting. So Cora, if you can take it away and walk us through.
Thanks, Adele. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for offering those words for Tu B'Shvat. I loved it. Okay, so everybody should have from their kits a terracotta pot. I see that some of you already have it on your table. Great, I can see it in the photo. Some potting soil, some gravel, the succulent itself, some twine or lace or both, as well as some decorative rocks. So if you don't have one of those things, let me know and we will troubleshoot. But it looks like everybody has it. Great. Okay, so the very first thing, and the other pieces that you will need eventually is some sort of, you might need a spoon or like a, what do you call them?
Trowel.
Thank you, a trowel. Or you can use your hands, measuring cup, anything like that. Water, you might need a bowl, or you can use a Ziploc bag that you got your soil in. A plate or saucer to go under your pot can be helpful. I know that Adele also mentioned like newspaper or something to put on top of your table just to contain the mess is good. And if you prefer gloves are great too. So I see Adele has some gloves and Cynthia's wearing gloves. So you can choose to, or you can get your hands dirty. Okay, so I gave you some instructions. So you have it all written down. If you want to use that, great. I will also walk you through everything so that way you can read if you want to go a little slower, go a little faster, and also listen to me. So I want to also apologize because I don't have a kit in front of me. I'm stuck in Florida right now. I'm coming back this weekend, but had a little bit of a COVID, delay. So that's why I'm still here. But I will be back soon. And so I won't have it in front of me, but I can answer your questions and I can look at your kits and let you know if it's going well or not. I can tell you right now, everybody's is going to be perfect because there is no perfect. And so we're all going to be great with this. Okay, so if you'd like, you can rinse your gravel. So you could fill a bowl with water and rinse it that way, or you can get it into a colander. You're welcome to rinse. It is not completely necessary to rinse. So it's up to you. If I see it's in some Ziploc bags, you can add some water and then pour some of the water out. Totally up to you. You can see Adele's screen. She's holding her gravel up.
And I'm holding it up just because it looks a lot like the smaller bag of decorative rocks. So it's your bigger bag of rocks is your gravel.
And we use the gravel because the thing about succulents is we don't want it to be really packed in with the soil because it will create root rot, and we don't want that because we don't want the soil to hold so much water. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix your bag of gravel with your bag of soil. So as Adele's doing, she's just putting the gravel into her bag of soil. If you prefer, you can do it all in a bowl and mix it with your hands or a spoon. really doesn't matter as long as it's just mixed nicely so that there's that grittiness in the soil. So it breaks up the soil a bit. So just make sure that's all mixed up, all good. And don't pour the whole thing into your pot because we're going to do it in a step-by-step basis. So once you've done that, let me know and feel free to unmute. I mean, I know you're making some noise, but if you have a question or you want to chat or say hi to anyone, unmute at any time. This is a social event.
When we are ready to fill, how high up we fill, or should we wait?
Yeah, you're welcome to start filling. You want to go about 1/3 of the way up. You just want to cover that base with your mixture so that you have something to put your succulent on. And then we'll adjust as we go, depending on how much you get in there and how much more we need.
I have a question.
Yes.
The instructions say to fill 1/3 of the pot. It's a tall pot. Succulents, cacti, they don't have deep roots. So it's going to end up being way below the pot.
Yeah, so we're going to start with 1/3 and then we're going to lift it up as needed. So if so, you can actually look at your succulent, and if you feel that your pot needs a little bit more than 1/3, by all means, add more than 1/3 to the bottom. But what happens is usually as you add the soil, you'll kind of lift up your succulent a little bit and make sure the soil holds it in right where you want it. So I start conservatively with 1/3, but you're welcome to put more in. So your mixture should be about 1 part gravel to 2 parts soil. If you have more gravel at home and you want to add more, you're welcome to do that. You can actually go all the way up to 2 parts gravel and 1 part soil. So if you want to do more gravel and you happen to have some at home, you're also welcome to do that. Great, I see Shelly with her spoon doing well. Very nice. I see Corinne has a spoon, awesome.
Where are the instructions, Cora?
It should have been with your kit. There's a little half page for you.
I do have an extra
Gail's
one at
holding
home.
hers up.
No, I don't have that.
Sorry, but who said they don't have her?
Heather, I can email it to you if you'd like,
Okay.
or afterwards I can share it with you. Do you want it now or later?
No, that's fine. It's okay.
Okay, I'll send it to you later so you can have
Okay.
it.
Yeah, no worries.
That's 2-to-1 again. It's just down here.
Okay, so before you put the succulent in your pot, I want everybody to lift it up a little bit and hold it gently. So I see some people have taken it out of the plastic. If you're having trouble, Heather, I'm just gonna mute you because you're
Sorry.
no worries. So I see some of you, if you're having trouble taking it out of the plastic, you can squeeze the plastic a little and it should kind of pop out, and you can gently kind of turn it over. Don't be afraid to touch the leaves. It's not a big deal. Yeah, good. I see Adele doing that. Well done. And yeah, so if your soil's falling apart a little, that's no problem. But if your soil's not falling apart, you're going to need to massage it a little bit to loosen up the roots. So if you feel, yeah, Cynthia.
Can I add another one to it?
Absolutely. Yeah. If your pot's big enough, by all means, yes, you can have multiple succulents in there. So Ethan, I see you're kind of good. You're massaging the soil a little bit. Yeah. Make sure those roots are a little bit broken up so that, because what will happen is if you have the roots all along the soil, they won't be able to kind of grab onto the rest of the soil that you put in your pot. So yeah, Adele, the way you've done it looks really good. I'm looking at Adele Randall, Adele Goldberg. Yes, yeah, just massaging it a little bit and making sure that those roots are nice and loose. And then you can put it in your pot, and then you wanna just adjust your soil level until it sits nicely towards the top of your pot.
So add more.
Yeah, Avi, that's a good height. That's looking good. Sorry,
So
Cynthia,
add
what?
more.
Yeah, so once you've loosened up your roots, then you can put it on top of your pot and start adjusting the soil so that it sits nicely. And so once you have it at a height that you like, make sure you fill in around the sides so that the soil holds it in. This step might take the longest just based on adjusting and making sure it sits nicely and getting it how you want. Feel free to take your time. It's we're not rushed at all. Good. I see Haley adding more soil. Nice, Green. You're adding it on the sides. That's looking great. Yeah, Cynthia, yours is looking good. So just make sure you add
Good
enough
question.
soil until it's nice and stable in there.
Quick question.
Yes, Ian.
I've got a third of my pot filled,
Okay.
but I still have a lot of my soil left over. Is that the way it should be?
So once you have the third of the pot filled, you're going to add the succulent in, and then you use the rest of the soil to make sure that that succulent is in place.
Do we
So it
pack
looks
it
like
down?
I've got maybe 75% of my soil is still unused. Is that about right?
Maybe yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like, yeah, it looks like you will have extra soil. So I think yes.
Thank you.
Do we pack it down?
Very gently. You don't want to pack it too much because what will happen is we're going to add water and then you'll add more soil if needed at that point.
Got it.
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This, now what do I do with this now? Do I have to take it apart and like the soil and then sort of stuff it inside?
Can you show me a little bit more on your screen what I'm looking at?
I'm holding the succulent
Okay.
above the pot. I don't know
Okay.
if you can see it.
There we go. I see a little better now. Yep. So yeah, so you're just going to place the succulent into the pot. And you want the bottom of the leaves to be about flush with, yeah, like that. And you're going to add soil around until it's stable.
Okay.
And it's
do I
up to
press
you whether you
hard
want
or-
your succulent a little higher, a little lower. Like I see Haley, you have yours higher. That's great. Diane, yours is flush with the top. That's great.
Okay.
So it's you can do it as you want. It won't matter a lot. Yeah, Heather, that looks great.
Still have those stones to go in there.
When you put some water. in it.
Carla, yours is looking really nice. Adele, Adele Randall, you could add a little more soil to yours.
Is mine okay?
Uh-huh, Adele, yours looks good. As long as it's not flopping around, you're pretty good.
It was cool seeing how many different kinds of succulents there were. And this is just the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many kinds. Some flower, there's like aloe is technically a succulent. So there's lots of different fun kinds.
But this is a pretty one. Really nice.
Good.
Nice.
You picked well, Adele.
You did.
Do I get a prize for asking a second question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Ian.
So there's 2 extra packages of gravel as well as the big gravel. There's a white one and a bigger gravel. Are we meant to be putting those into the mix as well, or are they for later?
They're
So
decorative.
Adele, how many?
So there's three little bags that people have. Some of them have river rocks. And everybody has river rocks, white rocks, and some blue gems. And I thought we could use those to decorate the top.
So yeah, if it's not the big pieces of gravel, those are decoration and you'll put them on top.
So should we, if we're done, should we
There's stones.
water
Mhm.
Yeah,
or?
so if you're done, this is where you'll want like a saucer or something underneath your pot, because what we're gonna do is we're going to water the succulents to the point that there's water coming through. We don't want to drown them, but we do want to kind of get it all put together and water them into the soil so that they're really kind of implanted in that soil. So you'll go ahead and just slowly kind of add water until you see it coming out the bottom just a little bit.
Cora, there's a sticker on the bottom of mine, so that
So
would
pull
have.
that sticker off.
I was going to say people should realize
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, pull the sticker off if you have one on the bottom.
Thank you. That was a good,
That was a really good catch, yeah.
well, I think most people may go to the sink, but I'll demo here and Cora can tell me when to stop.
I think
Should I
that's
put
good
some more
enough.
soil? Is that good?
Well, you got stone
Yeah,
steel on top.
okay. So,
And if you do it slowly, the water will seep down. So you don't want to go so fast when you water that you end up putting too much water in. So the slower you do it, then you can wait, see how far it goes down, see if it drips down, and then keep going. So don't rush through the watering, and you'll eventually see water come through.
Cora,
We
how
should take the sticker
often-
off the bottom.
Yes, sticker off the bottom. Yes,
Okay.
Carla.
How often do you water succulents? Because for some.
So you're going to water them very rarely, to the
Okay.
point that you can leave them for weeks without watering. Yeah, you sure don't want to water them if the soil is still wet. That's like the rule. If the soil is still wet, you do not water. You can either water in like very small amounts more frequently, but usually you want to wait quite a while until you water, and then you can put a little bit of water in. But for these types of things, I would do like a quarter cup every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, they really don't need much attention. And if you give them too much attention, they'll die. So that's the problem.
My kind of plant.
Yeah.
no, what I do for my succulents, I feel the leaf, and if it feels fat, like it's full of water, then I don't water it. I wait till it gets thin.
Exactly. That's a great way of doing it. Sometimes though, if you overwater, the leaves will also thin out because the roots can no longer take in the water because they've been rotting. So that's when your succulent, that's what happens if you overwater, is often the roots will essentially die and then the leaves die afterwards. And so people will realize that, their leaves aren't full of water, and they'll continue watering, and then it just kills it faster. And so you have to wait quite a while for the soil to dry out.
And that is why I have 2 plants in my pot.
So I used a measuring cup just so that I could do it as a demo, and I actually filled it to 2 cups and measured it slowly, and I would say at about 1 3/4 it started to drip.
Perfect. So you won't need to water for a very long time.
And
Which
so
is great.
it has made
What's that?
the dirt go down. Should I add more?
So
of
you
it?
can add more. Yep.
How much water should we be adding to it, did you say?
So Adele used a little more than a cup. And so I would go with about a cup and see how it goes. You won't need to water with this much water after this point, but we usually, when you first plant something, you want to give it a little extra water because it helps it settle into the soil.
Nothing is coming out, so I should add more water.
Yeah, add a little bit more. It'll take a little bit of time for it to come. If you put a cup in, I'm sure that's enough. You're welcome to put a little bit more in, but it'll start to trickle down eventually. Sometimes for me, it takes a good 2
Hot water, is
minutes
it?
before it actually comes down.
It's cool. It's a bit
Everybody feeling okay with their plants right now? I see Corinne is nodding her head. Not enough water.
This thing's taking a lot of water still coming through.
That's okay. That's fine. So the reason that we have all those rocks in there is that the roots will end up growing around the gravel, and that's where the gravel allows more water to flow through. So that's why we'll do less watering in the future, because other times succulents have even more gravel in them, and then the water goes through faster, and that's better for the roots. So you can kind of determine, you know, how wet the soil is, and decide how much water you want to add when you decide to water in a few weeks. But that's why we put the gravel in, so that the water comes down a little bit more and doesn't just sit in the soil.
Oh, it's coming through.
Okay, so once you've put some water in and you see that soil kind of settle down a little, you can add some more soil, just so it fills up and holds the succulent in nicely. Everybody doing well? Oh yeah. Oh, yours looks, is that Goldie? Yours looks great. Yes, that's beautiful. Are we ready to?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm trying to see everybody's screen. Not everybody's showing theirs. Like I haven't seen Brenda's and I haven't seen.
Hi, Zadie.
Zadie just went and sat back down, said,
Okay, never mind.
but he came on just to say hi to you guys.
Okay, so now that we have, looks like we still have some people watering, adding some soil, go ahead and take your time with that, because the rest of this is just decorating. So everything else that you have is all for decoration. So some of the really pretty succulent gardens that I've seen have some really nice river rocks that are on top, and you can kind of press it into the soil to make it look nice, and you can even layer them if you want. I know Adele put a bunch of different kind of colored pieces in there, so you can do, you know, all white, or you can do white and blue, or add different colors, however you want to do it, do a pattern. There's no wrong way. And then you also have some lace and some twine, and those are things that you can put around your pot. You can tie them, you can glue them. There's all kinds of different things. If you have any picks, you can kind of layer it in if you want. So all kinds of different things. I'm going to pull up a few pictures for you just so you can see some other ones. Let me just make my screen a full screen so I can see it. And so you can see some of the ideas for lace here and twine. That's really nice. And those can be tied. You can see over here, this one's tied nicely. If you have a hot glue gun or something, you know, that you want to actually glue it on, that always looks good too. And here's a little bit more. Here's one with some, this looks like ribbon and twine. So you could even do that with lace, some bows if you want. So all kinds of different ideas if you are interested in doing that. And you can see that there are rocks on top too. This one is fully, the thing is fully covered with rocks. Some other ones have, this even has moss on it. This has nothing, which also looks really nice. So all kinds of different opportunities. Shelly, I like the use of white. That looks really pretty. Oh yeah, I see Carla's layering. That looks really nice. Everybody's looks amazing. And the nice thing is when you are ready to water, if you want to check your soil, you can just pull some of the rocks over and just check it. Yeah, Marla, that's looking nice.
Cora and Adele, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. This is great. We just made 3 really lovely plants.
We didn't argue once.
We didn't argue
Yeah,
once.
let's see them. Can we see them? Can you show them?
Yes, girls.
Beautiful. Yes,
them,
that's
Alex.
amazing.
Nice.
Hold on.
What
Oh,
the
and they're
Alex
all
have
different.
done.
Wait, we need to compare. Okay, they haven't decorated theirs yet. It's okay.
No competition or anything. There's
No competition going on between the two houses whatsoever.
100%, you always were.
Yeah, but you think I'm gonna paint my pot.
Yeah, so are we. After Gogo's got it all.
I mean, I should have painted it before, but
They're
5
painting
minutes
the
before.
pot, Mom.
When you are done decorating, I do want to ask everybody, if you're willing, take a picture of yourself with your pot and send it to me. And I'd love to put it on our Instagram or our Facebook, on our website. So if you want to be featured, please take a photo of each other, take a photo of yourself. I want faces in there. Faces are really great. So I would love to see you all with your creation. So please, I'll put my email and you can also text it to me if you want. So I'll put everything in the chat and I would love to get your photos.
You do have lots of supplies, so you can just treat yourself to another plant, and it looks like you probably have enough dirt, you have enough rocks, you've got enough ribbons. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Carla, I'm going to use it in a few days, but the plant seems really dry. It will stay till Sunday? Yeah, and I shouldn't add any water to it before that. Okay. Thanks.
You can, but I wouldn't. It's
Yeah.
going to be harder to replant.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we did a youth, I mean, I didn't run it, but we did a youth succulent program months ago, and we had some extra succulents that are sitting by my desk at shul, and I haven't touched them, haven't watered them or anything for months, and they're still perfect. And they don't even get light, like it's like, you know, they just sit there.
What about temperature, like in terms of where they should be in the house? Like, should they be near
They
light?
so they do like a lot of light, and they like warmth because they're technically like cacti. So so I wouldn't put it near like a cold window or anything like that. But if you turn on a kitchen light every day, that's fine. If you do have a window that gets a lot of sunlight, like a south facing window, that's good too. I just wouldn't put it too close to anything cold. Yep, lots of light is good, but they're pretty plants, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And the nice thing, if your plant does die, you can go out and get another one, and now you know how to plant them.
Can I show you something just for interest? This is a cactus that I have.
That's beautiful.
I put it outside in the summer, and it's fine until it gets close to freezing. I bring it in. We had them growing at the front of the house until the grandchildren were, you know, walking, and I had to pull them all out. But they just shrivel up and lie down in the winter.
Oh, interesting.
And
then they come back.
again.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Good. What do you have it planted in, Adele? Is it just
there's
like a
some
glass?
sand, soil, and I added the yellow, the sand, and there's some, I don't know if you can see it. Wait a sec. Some tiny gravel.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And I found a seashell. I don't know where it came from. I threw it in there.
Oh, beautiful. And so how often do you water that one, Adele?
If I said almost never, I just look at it, and if it looks puckered, you know, yeah, then I give it a little bit of water. I do it a favor.
Nice.
Very seldom, very seldom.
Good, good, good.
Just to show and tell.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to show and tell, I think we all like to gain knowledge from each other. So
for sure.
If anyone else has any knowledge about succulents, I used to work at a florist, so I used to actually plant these every so often when I wasn't doing the flower part. And it's funny with the cactus, Adele, because I used to have to plant those, and we would take like paper to hold it, because they'll get like stuck in your fingers, all the little, yeah. So we would take like paper and kind of try and hold it and put it in. It's every time you got a few pricks.
I use tongs, the type you use for chicken, you know, the
very
expensive ones. That's what I use. Yeah, we gotta be very careful.
I'm gonna stop the recording unless anyone has any questions they want to ask that you feel like should be recorded. Okay.
How big do they grow?
They won't, not much.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have, you might see some of the leaves on the bottom, they might shrivel up and die, which is normal, but then they'll grow more on top. So they kind of just replaces itself. It won't grow much.
Okay, thanks.
Not these guys. Some of them do.
I know we have a jade and jades grow very big
Those are beautiful too.
plant now, so. Watch out for the jades.
Okay, good, Tom.
Oh, did
Some of
anyone
the-
get jade in there?
Okay, so what else?